This is it, my tarp set up. I've created a lean-to shelter with a little bit of tuck under, just to create a half ground sheet to put some of my gear. So here's the ridge line between the two trees, and what I do is I have a prusik knot attached permanently with a carabiner, and then this can clip into a number of different latch points on the tarp, and by use of the prusik knot you can pull that really tight. Then there's a couple of other points that I've just used a bit of paracord to pull the tarp tight. Here's the other end. You can see this is the carabiner on the little paracord loop, and here's the prusik knot, and you can just slide that across along this ridge line. I attach the ridge line with a little loop and a twig for quick release system. Okay, so I've got the shelter up and I've made the bed and I've got my sleeping bag laid out. Here's the bed. I'll show you again tomorrow in the daylight, but it's just your standard sort of woodcraft bed. I've got a couple of main joists supporting each end. These are the main joists, and these are sat on a couple of sort of runners just to stop that pushing down into the ground too much, and then pegged out with 2 pegs at each corner. So that's 8 of those, 2 of those and 4 of those, and then I've used about 7 to 10 of these timbers that I've found, as straight as I could find, but 1 or 2 of them were a little bit crooked, as you can see from under there. I've had to pack that out a little bit with shorter ones just to fill the gaps there, and I've put the thin wool blanket down as 1 layer, and then I've got my 4 Seasons sleeping bag. I'm just using a super bright new lamp that I've just purchased to illuminate it all, so I hope you can see it. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm quite warm. I had to take my jacket off with all the soaring, but I do need to light a fire now to get the evening meal going, which is going to be that courage stew with the chicken, and think about having something to drink as well because I'm quite parched. Alright, fire time. Fire is going, and now I'm going to prepare my evening meal. I'm going to use the frying pan that I was supplied with, and I'm going to fry off the chicken first of all in there. Then I'm going to chop up the vegetables and add that, add some water, some of the curry powder, and basically make a sort of chicken curry stew. Nothing like a bit of bushcraft cooking in the middle of the night. Take half of the potato now. Just going to cut that into small chunks. Put that straight in. My culinary skills are not Jamie Oliver, but hey ho. And I think perhaps just a little bit of celery just to keep the vitamins up. Some of the courgette next. Get your greens and veggies in it. I think that's flat leaf parsley. Okay, now I'm going to sprinkle some of this curry powder that's been supplied. Okay, so here we have it. That is everything in there that I need for the curry. And just going to add some water now. Wow, that's pretty aromatic. That's about 400 millilitres of water that's gone into the stew. Now there it is. All we've got to do now is leave that for probably about 30 minutes to simmer, and hopefully that's going to be a pretty tasty stew. Yeah, in the meantime I think I better get on with collecting some more wood ready for tonight. Cheers. Oh yes. Italian breadsticks. Okay, so that's it. I'm ready to unveil the final offering. Let's have a look at it. There it is, folks. Chicken curry. So the only problem is I don't have a bowl to eat this out of, so you're going to have to excuse my manners, and I'm going to eat it straight out of the frying pan. Smells good. Yeah. Oh, the potatoes are cooked nicely. You know what? It's really quite mild curry. It's kind of quite a gentle taste. Very nice indeed. Whoa, I'm pretty tired now, so I'm going to hit the sack. I've had my food, I've had a drink, I've enjoyed the fire. I'm very pleased with this bed because it sort of made a very good bench to sit on while I have my food. And now I'm looking forward to getting into my sleeping bag. I've put my jacket on and I've put my my buff on. I've got 2 hats on. I can feel the temperatures dropping. Hopefully the 3 Seasons sleeping bag will be enough. So I've stoked the fire, have a quick check of the outside air temperature, and I'll say good night to you. See you in the morning. Oh, good morning everyone. It's just gone 6 o'clock in the morning and sunrise isn't until 8 o'clock here in the Italian Alps. So I've still got about another hour and a half of night before first light. Outside air temperature at the moment is 5 degrees here under the shelter, and it reached a minimum of 3.5 degrees. So I think the heat of the fire is nicely keeping this above zero. I thought I'd just tend to the fire and get some breakfast on. I'm going to have some porridge oats, and I'm going to chop up the apple, put the apple inside the oats, warm that up. I thought that might be quite a nice idea from a breakfast. Maybe throw a few nuts in as well. Here are the nuts that I'm going to chuck in, and the porridge is cooked. Didn't take very long at all on that heat. There it is, not much to look at. Bit of porridge and some apples stewed. Can you see that? Good handful of nuts. Alright, get my spoon. Oh, nice. The apples are nice and sweet. In England, when I go camping, I quite often take one of those quick oats in a plastic pot. You just add the water, and I think it's got some milk powder in it, so it's quite creamy. It only takes 30 seconds or so, and you've got yourself some instant oats. Obviously, this took a little bit longer, but not much longer. But the big problem is I burnt the porridge on the bottom of the pan. So, yeah, I've got a filthy pot now if I want to have a brew later on. Morning again, everyone. First light has happened, sun is rising, and it's 5 minutes past 8. Absolutely love the woods around here. There's loads and loads of this type of wood around this northern part of Italy, and the nice thing about them is they don't seem to be overly managed, so they're incredibly natural. Trees fall, debris falls, and nobody seems to come and clear it or manage it, and so it creates a real natural environment. And the other nice thing is that they're inhabited by animals that we don't have in England. For example, wild boar. Last night I was woken up by something running through the woods and snouting around. I'm not convinced that it was a wild boar. It could have been a deer, but it might have been. What a glorious morning, a fantastic sunrise, a glowing orb in the sky in the east. I thought I'd take this opportunity to go for a short walk, to explore. Come with me and let's go and have a look at some of the delights of this wood. Well, one thing's for certain in this wood, you could quite easily get yourself lost. It all looks exactly the same, and there aren't too many paths. I think that's really quite exciting. I'm going to head back to the camp now, pack up, and head back to my hotel. When I was looking for a spot last night to pitch, I wanted somewhere that was relatively stealthy and out of view. And just over my left shoulder, you can see a large fallen trunk, and you might just be able to see the tarp set up behind it. You see this quite a bit in this wood, fallen trees, and then they're just left, and then over years, accumulation of leaf litter and tree debris falls and just accumulates around the sides. Makes a really excellent wildlife habitat. This is one of the pullouts on the shelter, and I'll just show you how I do my quick release. You can obviously buy different types of fill for a sleeping bag, but they do say that down is probably the best thermal properties of any of the fillings, and certainly for the size I could probably suggest that it was Mountain Warehouse Extreme. Yeah, good sleeping bag. Now, so much for this wool blanket. Well, I think it looks like something I might have stolen off my mother's sofa. Thanks, Mum. Just a last look at the bed before we go. There it is in all its glory. That's me. I'm all packed up. All I've got to do is make sure that the embers of this fire are completely put out, and I'll douse those after I turn the camera off. So another successful wild camp. Thanks again for joining me, and I do hope to see you again soon. Bye. Who said there wasn't any frost last night?